we're about to get started here with the women's first heat of the 60-meter hurdles. Here from lane 2 to lane 6, we have Shelby Hunley, Sarah Hines, Leah Reichenberger, Kylie Severa, and Elena Henderson. Hunley, Hines, Reichenberger, Severa, Henderson from right to left.
That looks like Maria Romero, not Kylie Severa, and next to Leah.
Well, we might have had some switching around.
Huh.
And they're out. In lane 3, that's Sarah Hines over the first hurdle. Quickly. She's far out in front with a little bit of stumble. Had to switch feet there at the end, but bringing in the heat, that's lane 5.
Yep, looked like Maria got that one, but shockers go 1, 2, 3, it appears.
With Sarah Hines, now Sarah was the top seed coming into this. We have the replay coming in. We might see some of her stumble here. She gets out really well there in lane 3. But you can see hitting that third hurdle throws her off just enough to where she's got to switch.
4-step the last hurdle. Impressive.
Heat 2 we have from lanes 1 through 6, Road, Cole, Marcucci, Henry, Smarsh, and Edwards. And it looks like we have a scratch here in lane 3, so we might not have Marcucci.
I don't know if you saw Cooper just over at the pole vault. Slade Little cleared 15 feet 11 inches. That's a collegiate PR for him.
Oh, wow. Cool. Fantastic. I think we'll see that here in a bit. And they're out.
Looks like Kendra and Abby running close.
There we are in lane 4. That's Kendra Henry from Wichita State University, followed closely by her teammates. Now, Kendra, is she a multi or a full-time hurdler?
No, she's a multi. She was actually the American Conference champion outdoor last year, and she was a freshman, so she's got a very bright future ahead of her. Just a sophomore, but very good hurdler. But no, focuses on the multi.
And a great run for her. That'll likely put her through to the final. Watch here in lane 4. That's Lauren Dahl from Friends University. We can see the Wichita State athletes out well here in lane 3. That's Carlia Miles. Close race between Carlia Miles and Lauren Dahl.
Looks like we had one girl drop out as well. Out in lane 6.
And Lauren Dahl did take the heat. Here in lane 3, Eric Johnson, the fastest seed time at 8:15. We'll see Joseph Holthusen here in the second heat. So here they are, lanes 2 to 5, Eckert, Johnson, Dorsey, and Schaefer. Looks like his glasses about nearly fell off.
He is
and they're
hitting
out
hurdles.
well. That's him in lane 2. Looks like Eric Johnson takes that. Clay Eckert close behind. Great efforts there by all of the athletes. Eric Johnson with the Shocker Track Club. Let's watch that replay again.
Taking the victory and in bulldozer fashion. Looks like he did have to put his glasses on back there. Looks like he knocked down every single hurdle.
See, that's another thing, and I haven't met Eric, and so I'm not quite sure how tall he is, but it is a significant difference when you're running the 42-inch hurdles. The lanes 3 through 6, you can see Holthusen, Smith Jr., Stegman, and Debert.
Yeah, Joseph just ran a fantastic race yesterday. Let's see if he can do it 2 days in a row.
And it sounds like that might be a good preview as to what his season's going to look like this year, but also you look at the conference meet that is a 2-day meet here at the end of the indoor season. Someone who can run back-to-back so well, you hope that that translates into conference performance.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Chucky's out well.
And just taking the heat, that's Joseph Holthusen from Wichita State, the freshman we've been talking about, and we'll see him again in the final. That's a great run, and really there was no one close. Let's watch that again.
8:29.
8:29, great preliminary run. We can see out in lane 6, Davis Dubert as well. But no one close to Holthusen. So here we are about to get started with heat 3 of the men's 60-meter hurdles prelims. We have 4 athletes here from lanes 2 through 5. We have an unattached Wichita State athletes. That's Ludolf, Heiser, Downs, and Gustafson. And 2 Wichita State athletes here. Grant Downs here in lane 4. Connor Ludolf, unattached in gray in lane 2. And they're out well, taking down some of the first hurdles as they move on. It looks like Grant Downs out there in lane 4 takes the heat. We'll see what his time looks like, 8:42. That was his seed time as well, so pretty consistent. That'll push him through to the final likely.
I think they said 8.45 officially. Still a good run for him. We did see him knock down the first 3 hurdles pretty violently. So, oh yeah, there we go.
A little close to that first one, but as he got going, he was turning over pretty well. Here in lanes 3 through 7, we can see DeWeese, Brambridge, Hamilton, Wickersham, and Castillo. There are 2 athletes here from Friends University, an athlete from McPherson, Butler County, and Bethany College. So a good sample of the athletes here today and the teams that we'll see competing. We have a few, what you'll notice if you see the heat sheets online, you'll see a few NTs next to names, and that's usually due to this being towards the beginning of the season, and there's freshmen that haven't had a time to report yet, and so their seat time doesn't exist. So if you see that, don't worry, you'll get one here at the end of this heat. And that's lanes 1 through 7, Lattimore, Shawnee Moore in lane 2, 3 DeWeese, 4 Brambridge, 5 Hamilton, 6 Wickersham, and 7 Castillo. And it's a fair start as they're out in the middle. An athlete from Friends University. Looks like, no, that's McPherson. I apologize. It's Amy Brambridge from McPherson wins the heat. And as we prep for heat 2 here, we're going to watch the replay of this.
I think they said 7:89, I think.
Looks like she got out really, really well. No wasted motion there. A solid run there from Amy Brambridge. So here in heat 2 of 3 of the women's 60-meter dash, we have Henderson lane 1 and lane 2, Stevenson lane 3, Blaylock Norris lane 4, Cato lane 5, Knight lane 6, Spurlock. And it's
in the middle out well.
Fair start. That's from Butler in the middle. That's Octavia Cato.
Woo.
She takes the heat handedly.
That was
Followed
fast.
up by McPherson and Friends. So we'll likely see her in the final as well. That was Octavia Cato from Butler County Community College. So we have, again, 5 teams here. We got Butler County, which you'll see here, Octavia.
I think she just ran that faster than some of our men multis run the 60.
And we can see here in lane 4, that's Nikki Larchmiller, former Shocker great, running for the Shocker Track Club. But from lanes 1 to 6, we have Stevens from McPherson, Edwards from Friends, Brown from McPherson, Larchmiller, Shocker Track Club, Lewis from Butler, and Kendrick from Bethany.
Yeah, Cooper, you know, you mentioned something about the Division I and NAIA type stuff. You can't sleep on the smaller schools, you know, just because Wichita State's Division I school, we think we got this meet won, but these smaller schools bring some good athletes here.
So once again, that's Stevens, Edwards, Brown, Larchmiller, Lewis, Kendrick from right to left. And another fair start there in the middle. That's Larchmiller. It looks like she'll take the heat, followed closely by the Butler athlete Kai Lewis in lane 5. So great run there from Larchmiller. Now, Nikki, recent graduate, her twin sister as well. Nikki is a multi, correct?
Yes, she was. Her sister was a hurdler and sprinter.
So Nikki's still training here. Do you train with her? Do you train against her? What races can she beat you in is really what I'm interested in. So once again, that's Stewart, Beaucamp, Spicer, Wright, Taylor, and McDowell.
Oh, false start in lane 3, I'm calling it.
Let's watch that again. We'll see who might have jumped. It looks like the guilty party knows it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there he goes.
Quite a bit there, and that is Spicer, unattached from Butler County. Jovan Spicer, as he walks off the track. Tell us a little bit, Ben, what does that do to you as an athlete when other people are jumping? Of course, you never send in such a way to false start in a race, but what does it do to you when you're chilling in the blocks and someone else jumps?
Yeah, you know, I think every event that I do, my very first go at it is always my best, just because I'm fired up and it's my, you know, the adrenaline's going. Same way in the 60, you know, get down, you're ready to run, and someone false starts and you stand up and you just don't feel as amped the next time you get down in the blocks.
So that removes Spicer from lane 3. So lanes 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 still in. Stewart, Beaucamp, Wright, Taylor, McDowell.
No false starts this time.
And they're out well, as expected. That's Farius Wright there in the middle. In lane 4, he takes the heat. We'll see them again in the final.
No 6.6, but I believe that was in the 6.7s. That was pretty fast.
And we'll watch that again here. All 6 athletes out well. You can see he really just turns it over there in the middle. Taking the heat handedly, closely followed by his teammate there. So lane 3, we have Corinder, Atkins, and Swain, lanes 3 through 5. And that's Atkins out well in the middle. You see he had the second fastest seat time of today, just behind his teammates. So that's an unattached Butler athlete, Xavier Atkins.
Looks like he almost let up at the end a little bit. That was still a very fast race. Should be a good one in the final between him and his teammate.
They wiggled a little bit there at the start, but stumbled a bit in the middle. But that'll get him through to the finals. Here we are in lane 3, or in the heat 3, Muhizi, Johnson, Doyley, Surrey, Williams, and Bienvenu. All out well. It's a fair start. See, it looks like
Johnson took his glasses off.
lane 3, that's Mark Doyley, unattached from Butler County. Again, with the Butler sprinters taking some of these events very handedly. Here we are with the replay. Everyone out well, really.
Yeah, really clean start by those guys. Looked very technically sound.
Doyley taking it through with his teammate there in lane 6. So it looks like we have a scratch in lane 3. But from 1 through 6, we have Masters in lane 1, Simmons in lane 2, lane 4, that's Alex Grays from Butler County, lane 5, Brown, lane 6, Myers.
Myers ran a great race earlier this season here in the inter squad heptathlon. Let's see if he can do it again. It was 6:9.8 maybe? I don't know. Under 7 seconds for sure.
And we'll see if he can repeat today. Is he a multi?
Yes, he is.
A fair start again. You see the Butler athletes out well, and it looks like they're in lane 4. That is Alex Grays from Butler Community College. He had the fastest seed time of the heat, followed closely by his teammate. And watch this again.
And your winner out of that final heat is Alex Grays of Butler at 6.89.
And a great run by Grays there. That'll get him through to the final, I would expect. And we'll get those results here again shortly. Lanes 1 through 6, that's Cole, Dahl, Romero, Henry, Miles, and Reichenberger. Fastest time qualifying was Maria Romero with a 9.01.
Ooh. See if she can break 9 seconds in the final. I don't know if she ever has before. That'd be very exciting.
And it looks like Romero out well, Dahl out well, Henry out well. And a fleet of shockers going over that last hurdle. It looks like Romero takes it, followed closely by Dahl.
Ooh, the time says 9:02 on the screen. We'll hear what the official time is here in a second. 9.04.
9.04. Great consistent run, though, there for Maria Romero from Wichita State.
And I believe an all-time PR for her. Setting the hurdles for the men's race.
And she's just a freshman.
Yeah, redshirt freshman from Spain. And a multi, not even a true hurdler.
So here we are in the final of the men's 60-meter hurdles. Fastest time again, Joseph Holthusen. We'll see him in lane 3, the freshman from Wichita State. In lane 1, that's Amari Heiser from McPherson. In lane 2, Grant Downs from Wichita State. Lane 3, Holthusen. Lane 4, Eric Johnson, Shocker Track Club. And 2 unattached Wichita State athletes in lane 5 and 6. That's Connor Ludolph and Clay Eckert. I'm looking forward to a good race here and maybe a minefield.
I'm predicting a lot of hurdles will be smoked. We've got 3 multis in the race, and if I've taught them anything as the leader of the multi-group, they will be hitting a lot of hurdles. So watch out for that.
And out well is Eric Johnson, not having to fix his glasses this time. You see Joseph Holthusen takes the heat. What a great run by Joseph. 2 days in a row. 2 days in a row, he takes the event.
Let's hear what the official time is.
Eight one zero.
8.10. 2 very fast days back to back for him. That's amazing.
I feel like if Eric hadn't hit so many hurdles, he would have maybe been able to catch up. But
I think you're probably right. He was pretty much falling over the finish line in an effort to catch Joseph.
here in this final of the women's 60-meter dash, we have lanes 1 through 7. In lane 1, that's Lattimore. Lane 2, Knight. 3, Lewis. 4, Cato. 5, Larchmiller. 6, Brainbridge. And 7, Blaylock Norris. And out well in the middle, that's Cato from Butler County. We can see close behind her in second place, that's Nikki Larchmiller. Looks like a fantastic time from both of those athletes. We'll see what the final result is, but a great run by Cato from Butler County.
7.47.
So she bests her prelim times by nearly a tenth, 7.47. We'll watch this replay right here. You can see out well.
Yeah, that's a great run.
Right. And here in the men's 60-meter final, we have in lanes 1 through 7, everybody's from Butler. We have in lane 1, Bienvenue, lane 2, McDowell, 3, Atkins, 4, Wright, 5, Doyley, 6, Grays, 7, Simmons. In lane 3, that's Xavier Atkins. And then the fastest time in the prelims was Tavarius Wright in lane 4. So you'll see the fastest athlete there in lane 4. This should prove to be a good race, as they are all teammates.
Yeah, just like a practice session for them.
Oh, false start. It looks like lane 6.
Yep, he knows it too.
And taking a look here, look at the left part of your screen. Yeah, it looks like he just jumped just a little bit and got caught. I bet he's going to be hearing about that on the bus ride back home.
Oh, I'm sure. At least he won't be alone. He had one of his teammates do that in the prelims. So
That's true. That's true. So we're down to, it looks like 5 athletes. I don't think we had one in lane 7 there. So looks like 5 athletes here in this final. We've lost Alex Grays from Butler County, but we do have lanes 1 through 5. 1, Bienvenue, McDowell, Atkins, Wright, and Doyley from right to left on your screen. And out well, it's a fair start. You see there in lane 3 and 4. The competitors, looks like lane 4 took it. That's Tavarius Wright from Butler County running unattached.
that was a fast one.
We'll see what the final result is. Running a 6.64, so besting his prelim time by a tenth here in the final. What a fantastic run there by Tavarius Wright. A great run, too, by his teammate. Finishing in second, that's Xavier Atkins. And then in lane 5, Mark Doyley. We have there on your screen from right to left, we have Hope Saunders from Wichita State, Grace Garrison from Friends, Rachel Foreman from McPherson, Leanne Myers from McPherson, Alyssa Wilson from McPherson, Elena Bergquist from Bethany, Kaylee Cornett from McPherson, Linda Martinez, Bethany, Maria Maria Flores from Bethany, and Jolene Jensen from Friends. So a whole host of Friends, McPherson athletes and Bethany Swedes athletes. We'll see how they do. And they're off, and they will be starting on their first of 8 laps around the track in this women's mile. So you had another teammate that was here. She hosted you. She knew the program. You've been here. Tell me what it's like on the women's side for just running, maybe as an athlete, less of a teammate, but what is it like as an athlete, the type of training that you've done and the transition from high school that you've had?
The workouts itself are a little bit more intense, which I appreciate. I mean, coming from Texas, you know, we're kind of used to like stiff competition a lot. So as far as that part goes, it wasn't too hard of a transition for me, but the workouts were definitely tougher. The rest was a little bit like less and more in cases. So I definitely had to get in shape. But I'm really thankful for my teammates and the training partners that I've had. I've trained with people like Nikki Larch-Miller, Taylor Larch-Miller, Natalie Halfman. So people like that, also Trudy Martin as well. People like that just really push me on a daily basis is what I look forward to most in practice.
And we are 2 laps in. That's Hope Saunders out in front. Followed closely by the Friends athlete Grace Garrison, I believe. So we'll see 6 more laps to go. So you've run the 600, you run the 400. I gotta know, is it more fun to run the 400 indoor or outdoor?
Absolutely outdoor, 100%.
Why you say that?
Well, I'm coming from Texas. We don't really have a lot of indoor facilities. So I think that was probably one of the biggest transitions for me is just having an actual indoor season. But I love the outdoor way better. I mean, I just love kind of knowing my strategy is a little bit more better. I just kind of know where I need to be at the track. I feel like the atmosphere is much better. So I just love outdoor. I don't know. I'm a Texas girl. I love outdoor.
Oh. Well, I'm not going to make any more jokes about Texas other than the fact that I figured you would say outdoor anyway. Yes, it gets a little bit colder north of Texas.
Yes.
You know, and it is the snow and ice probably doesn't help today, but it is good that there is an indoor season.
Yeah.
So that's Hope Saunders coming around. She will start on her 4th, well, I think her last half. She's halfway through, so we'll see her leading out this heat, 1 of 2, the women's 1 mile run. So the 4x4 though, indoor or outdoor, what's your preference?
I would say outdoor.
Because you're looking at a 4-lap race
Right.
versus an 8-lap race.
Correct. I've had I've had good experiences indoor and outdoor, so I don't mind either one of them. But I guess I would prefer outdoor because it's just 1 lap, you know. Everything indoor is doubled.
That's, not in distance, but yes, in revolutions, I suppose.
Yeah.
So, okay, I get it. Fair enough. You like outdoor. You're not going to change your ways, just like every Texan I know. So, tell me about the triangular yesterday on the women's side. We heard from Ben Johnson about the men's side. Tell me about the women's side. How'd y'all do? How'd you compete? How do you feel like you did?
I think overall we did pretty well. I mean, obviously there's going to have athletes. There's going to be athletes that have a great day and a not so great day or an average day. I think overall as a team we did really great. I mean, we had a lot of personal bests at the meet. We had a lot of people moving to the top 10 era. So we were just able to go out there and compete. There was a lot of really good competition with KU and K-State, which is good. That kind of brought out the best in all of us as a whole. So I'm really pleased with how the women did. I mean, we're coming off of a redshirt year as a whole. So a lot of our athletes weren't able to compete at all last year. So it's really exciting as a women's team as a whole to be able to go out there and compete together and kind of have a main goal, which is, winning conference and just going to the next level, whether that's NCAAs and first rounds and such like that.
And so last year you had a lot of gals redshirt, if I recall, you being one of them. And tell me kind of what the difference, what it feels like this year now that everyone's like, all right, now we're ready to do this.
I just think the atmosphere as a whole is like we're all hungry to get better. We all know what this conference brings, and now that we have everyone back healthy, we're super excited to just show the conference what we have. I think a lot of people don't think of Wichita State, especially on the women's side, as a contender, but they don't know like the weapons and the athletes that we have. So we're excited to just kind of prove ourselves and prove that we deserve to be in this conference just like everyone else.
That's Hope Saunders coming around the final curve. She's leading this heat of women handedly in the 1 mile run. She will come around the home stretch as she gets a round of applause from the fans here in the Heskett Center on Wichita State University campus. 5:46, so she bests her seed time by almost 9 seconds there.
That's good.
We'll see in second place we here have the Friends athlete, Grace Garrison, coming around to finish her race as well. And we'll wrap up the first heat of women here as we talk to Daisha Bullock. So, Daisha, maybe a bit early in the season. You've had, what, 2 meets? You got one next week. Conferences when? End of February?
Yes.
March?
I think it's like February 21st, I believe.
So just 2 meets in. What's your forecast for the women's side in conference this year? What do you think you all are going to do, and how do you think you're going to compete with the other teams?
Our goal is for high finishes. Top 2 has always been the goal. If we can pull off a championship, that'd be even great. I just think that everyone really just has a main common goal, which is to get better every day. We have a lot of great athletes who have the potential and will do great in the conference, score, make finals and stuff like that. So we're just really excited. I know, like you said, it is kind of early, but everybody on the women's side is making really good progress, especially those who are coming back from a red shirt, rather it be because, you know, red shirt of injury or stuff like that. So everyone's looking really good, and everybody's competing really well so far.
So limited injuries, it seems. Do you feel like last year, do you feel like the extra added year to recover from some injuries for your team was a good idea? Or would you have rather just competed last year and made it happen?
I think in hindsight, it was definitely a good move by the coaches and the athletes.
So as we get rolling here with the second heat of the women's 1 mile run, we'll see a whole host of Wichita State athletes. Looks like about 6 of them in this race. We have McKenna Payton from Wichita State, Andrew Wiseman from Wichita State, Destiny Eskridge, Amber Reed, Haley Johnson from Wichita State. Next to her from McPherson, it's Ariana Archuleta. From Wichita State, Katie Cumpston next to her. Kara Zahariades from Friends, Peyton Reeves, and Samantha Nelson rounding out the second heat of women here. Lots of black jerseys there.
I always wonder when they're running the mile, like, do they listen to a song? Like, what goes through their mind for 8 laps?
Yeah, this is coming from a 1-lapper.
Yep, that's right. Because, man, I can't even imagine going 8 laps. I really give props to distance people because they can just go and go, and I just, there's no way.
So what goes through your head when you're going around the track once?
It's really like 2 things. I try to work on, like, well, I'm going to say 3 things. One, being patient, kind of trusting my training, and then just kind of seeing where I'm at on the track. There's, like, certain marks. Like each 100, I want to be at a specific time. So just seeing if I'm hitting those times where I need to be, if I need to kick it up a little bit, or if I can just relax a little bit. So those are some things that I'm always thinking about when I'm running.
So you're thinking about the technical things. Mm-hmm. So why would you expect someone in the mile to be thinking about a song when they're every bit as much of an athlete as you are, so they're probably thinking about the technical things, I would say. But
Yeah, they probably worry about their splits, like, you know, like with the laps, like where they need to be at.
sure.
I always wonder what 3K runners, because that's like, I think that's like 15 laps. I would have like numerous songs just to like get me through it. Like, I think once I would get through like each, you know, like 400 or 200, I'd be like, okay, let me check to see where I'm at on time, and then just kind of like tune in my music again.
So we see the Friends athletes out here in front, followed by the Club of Wichita State athletes working well together. We'll see them come on here as they make their way around through their third lap in this 1 mile race. Again, 8 laps around the track here. So a lot of these milers, and we'll see some in the 3K a little bit later, cross-country runners at Wichita State. Tell me a little bit, and those out there listening and watching, how do we do, how's the cross-country team at Wichita State?
They are super dope. Like, I really like all of them. They all have their cool, like, personalities and styles and stuff like that. Like, they're really fun to hang out with. But they also work really hard. Like, our women's team just won conference, and they were our first conference champions of, like, a track and field cross-country thing. So that got us really pumped up for conference this year.
Yeah.
But they work really hard. Like, they train in all types of weathers. Like rain, snow, sleet, or hail. They are out there working hard.
So they won the ASC Conference Championship?
Yes.
The women's side did?
Yes, they did.
How did the men do?
I believe they got 3rd or 4th. I know that they were seated a little bit under, and they were able to outperform their form chart, as Coach Bolt likes to say, outperform our form chart. And so I think they end up doing better than they were expected to do. So I'm really happy about both teams. They really kind of set the tone for us, like track and field athletes, to just kind of, you know, bring it on home.
And a pair of shockers out there in front running together, followed by another pair of shockers. And then we have the rest of the athletes in the field trailing behind. They are halfway done now. Or over halfway, sorry. So with the, say the conference meet indoor, distance races, there's not too many.
No.
So you have the 3K, well, what does the AAC have? They have the 3K.
It's like the 3K, the mile.
They run the 1,000.
The
or do they
1,000.
run
The 800.
Okay. So, with such a great cross-country squad, do you expect them to compete well indoor and be able to put up a lot of points for the team, even in those limited events?
Absolutely. A lot of them, well, the cross-country team, they're transitioning to indoor season. But I think a lot of the training and stuff is still the same. I think they're still going to be, like, competing against the same people that did cross-country. So they'll see a lot of familiar faces and stuff like that. But I think they're going to be just fine. Like, they're really out there working hard every day. I see them competing hard all the time. So I know we're going to have some athletes that are going to go out there and kill it.
And around on the bell lap, that's Wichita State athletes out there in front. That's Haley Burns coming around. They're finishing in the mile at the top time, along with Bethany Eskridge following right behind. And we have Katie Pumpston, followed by 2 Wichita State athletes battling it out to the line. A fantastic race for them. We have Friends and McPherson following behind as we wrap up the women's second heat of the mile. So we'll soon get jumping into the men's 1 mile run. we'll have 2 heats of that as well. A whole host of Wichita State athletes in the second heat, like you saw. McPherson and Bethany and friends. So here in this first heat of the men's mile, we have Fuller, Miller, Theodore, Beckman, Barda, Ivanov, Dandu, Falkender, Kren, and Nelson. It looks like we're just competing McPherson and Bethany. So it looks like the friends athletes have dropped. McPherson and Bethany both in the KCAC conference, so competing directly. Maybe get some of a preview of what their conference meet might look like here in the distance events. Do you know the mascot of McPherson?
Yes, it is. Oh my gosh, what is it called? It's not like a warrior, but it's a barbarian. Is it a barbarian? No, it's a Viking. It's a Viking.
It's what, McPherson?
Oh my gosh, I was thinking
It's
about
a bulldog.
Bethany.
It's a bulldog.
Oh my, I knew that too.
It's all right.
I
It's
thought
okay.
it was Bethany.
Well, I'm sorry, and I will correct myself. Those are friends athletes who look like the McPherson athletes have dropped this event, but we see friends athlete out in front with the 9 on his sleeve. That's Logan Krim from Friends. You're thinking Bethany College,
Yeah.
but I would like to see what you landed on.
For
You
Bethany?
said some sort of barbarian.
Yeah, I think it's a Viking.
They're the Swedes.
Oh.
Yeah, but Scandinavia, you are very close. That is their mascot.
Thank you.
So coming around again, that is Logan Krin from Friends University, followed closely by the athlete from Bethany with an upside down 3 on his shoulder. That's Jamal Theodore. So we have these athletes from the KCAC soon to compete here in their conference in indoor. They do have a 600 meter at their meets. You guys don't tell me though, 600 meter indoor, what is that race like in comparison to you running the 400 meter, that 1 lap race? And don't be sassy with me. I know it's 200 meters farther than the 400, but I want to know what it's like to run that race. And maybe if you like that better.
No, I don't like it better. I like the 400. The 600, it isn't bad. It's just extra length. So whenever I'm thinking about running a 400, I have like a specific pace or whatever. But then when I run the 600, I have to slow it down. And then after the 400, I realize I have another lap to do if we're speaking indoor. And so I'm just like, man, got another lap to do. But I think I've been getting better at like coming out. So the first time I did the 600, I came out too fast. I think I came out 27 seconds in the 200. And then my second 200 was 31 and my last 200 was 35 seconds. So I came out way too fast. But this time I came out like just a good amount. I hit the times that Coach Wise wanted me to do. So I think I'm like slowly starting to get it. But it's pretty tough. You have to, it's the middleman between the 4 and the 800. So you just got to do your training, a little bit differently.
Coming around with 2 laps left. Those lead athletes from Friends and Bethany. Logan Kren and Jamal Theodore. And if you're just tuning in to the men's 1 mile run, this is the first heat of the men's 1 mile. We will be following that up with the second heat. We'll see a lot of quick athletes from Wichita State. We're going to follow that up with the women's 400 meters, men's 400 meters, then we'll get into the 600, the 800, 200, the 3K, and then we'll have some relays to close out the meet. And it's a foot race here between these 2 athletes. You see them coming around the second to last of their turns. It looks like a solid run, but it looks like tracking them down from Friends. That's Logan Kren who's overtaken Theodore from Bethany, coming around the home stretch with a round of applause from the crowd here at the Heskett Center. That is Logan Kren from Friends. 4:51, his final time there. We'll get the official time. Again, you can check the official time online at GoShockers.com. And we'll have one more athlete to round out this first heat before we jump into the next heat of gentlemen. So Daisha, how do you compete? How does your body do at competitions when you're driving through the snow, when you're dealing with the ice, when you're dealing with the cold outside, but you got to compete indoor? Does that affect you at all? How does that impact you?
I don't think it has such a big impact. I mean, I think the biggest impact it has on my body is just my knees, because I recently had knee surgery. It's about to be a year now in February. So the weather kind of impacts my knees. But other than that, I just try to make sure I get a really good warm up, so I make sure I'm like hot and sweating to be ready to race.
And here they are out quickly. All these athletes. This looks like a quick race to me. Wichita State with the number 2 bib. That is Corey Landon. And then you'll see Friends closely behind, followed by his teammate with the 4 number, Connor Stein.
I like them out. It seems as it's becoming way more and more competitive in these last recent years, and it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, I can recall, I think in the MVC we did the 1500. Might have been the mile, I suppose, indoor, but there was always a great race. There were always good athletes from Northern Iowa. There were always good athletes from Wichita State. It was fun to go head-to-head with them. What do the other distance programs, maybe mid-distance programs, look like in the ASC? Who's the more dominant team in that regard?
So if I can recall, as far as mid-distance, I would say 4 to 8. I remember UConn did pretty good. They kind of swept indoor season in those races, but also UConn has really good runners mid-distance as well. When it comes to sprints, it's kind of anyone's game. There wasn't really a specific, a lot of people went from a specific school in the final heat for the 60 and the 200. So I think for those races, it's just anyone's game kind of. But as far as mid-distance goes, it was looking like UConn and
another
yes,
team.
I just can't think of it right now.
Well, you're so focused on competing as a shocker.
Yeah, I'm so excited. We're really gonna shock the world this year. People are not gonna be expecting us.
These guys are moving. They're halfway through at about 2:10, coming around 4 laps on the track. We'll have 3 remaining as they round out this last turn. There in front, the number 3 on his bib, that's Ethan Kossover. Followed closely behind Corey Landon from Wichita State. And the number 4 leading the peloton in the back, that's Connor Stein.
I've tried to pride myself in learning all the distance people's names. And I really believe that I know all of their names. I'm at least 95% sure I can list all of them. Even the newcomers.
I may want to try to test you.
I think I'm willing.
I'll invite you back up here during the 3K, and we'll see. Ethan Kossover coming around, 2 laps left. I don't know if I'm getting the names right, because I don't have all the bib numbers final.
Ethan is in first place, and I want to say that's Corey Landon's in second. It looks like Connor is in third. Jack, he's a freshman. He's in fourth place right now.
You do know your names.
Yeah.
You do know them.
I do.
See,
I
you
like
proved
watching
it.
distance runners.
That's good. And on the bell lap, coming around the final turn, that's Ethan Kossover handedly winning this heat. He will take the event as he is clapped in by the crowd here at Wichita State. And it's all 5 Shockers rounding out the heat with a great run. We'll see what those final times are as the final athletes round out this heat. Before we get into the women's 400 meters. Lanes 2 through 6, we have Rebecca Hamilton from Butler. Xavieri Warren from Butler, unattached. Jairia Smith, Nikki Larchmiller, and Shelby Hundley. Looks like we have 2 scratches, though, in lanes 4 and 5, so it'll just be Hamilton, Warren, and Hundley. And the fastest seed time in this starting heat is 57:28 by Shelby Hundley on the outside from Friends University. We'll see how this race ends up here as they merge at the second turn. And Hundley out with a controlling lead of these 3 athletes.
She looks pretty relaxed on the back stretch right now.
Have you run against her?
No, I ran against her teammate Natalie before.
So here she comes. Here comes Hundley, unopposed here on the final turn as she's coming around. Kind of running alone, but running under a minute. That's 58:23. Unofficially, we'll see what the official time is here in a bit. So 58:28 is the final official time. In this first heat of the men's 400-meter dash, we have lanes 1 through 6 should be filled, but it looks like lane 1 is scratched. So we're going to go lanes 2 through 6. And that is in lane 2 from Friends, Bryce Stegman. Lane 3, Alex Grays from Butler. Lane 4, Colin Grabist from McPherson. Jeremy McDowell unattached from Butler in lane 5. And rounding out the heat is Omar Saber from McPherson. Fastest seed time in this group is 50.34. That's lane 5, Jeremy McDowell. Looks like they're getting ready to start. Athlete didn't hear the set command, it seems. We'll get going here with that first heat again. Lanes 2 through 6. It's Stegman, Grays, Gravest, McDowell, and Saber. It's the McPherson Bulldogs.
Bulldogs.
If you didn't know, it's on the back of their jersey.
I was literally looking at
So
the
is
wrong
the
team.
Swedes.
I was literally looking at the wrong
But
team.
even on the back of Bethany's jersey, it says Swedes.
Well, I was looking while they were running like at me to get a visual.
Now you know.
I wonder if the gun is working.
We're having trouble with the starting commands. We'll get going here. There's a scratch in lane 1. Alvin Patterson from McPherson will not be competing in this heat. And out well. In lane 3 from Butler, really out well. That's Alex Grace.
Oh, they're both moving.
2 athletes from Butler. Yes, the one on the outside is unattached. We'll see who wins the pole as they come around, and it looks like both running really, really well. One more turn from Alex Graves and Jeremy McDowell. Looks like McDowell is overtaken. And coming through on the final stretch, that's McDowell trying to play defense. And his teammate Graves overtakes him at the end. Unofficially 50.24. 10th faster than his seed time. We'll see what the final time is here in a bit. 50.28 is the final official time. Let's watch this replay here of those 2 athletes coming around. And that's the unattached athlete from Wichita State. That's
Josh
Cable. Then we have from Friends in lane 3, Caden Gustafson. Clifton Kasura from Butler. Shaquan Woods and Ronaldo Griffith also from Butler Community College, rounding out this second heat of men's 400-meter dash. Fastest seat time we'll see here in lane 5. Keep your eyes on lanes 4, 5, and 6. Should be a good competition there. 49.95 is the top seat time from Shaquan Woods out of Butler County. And out well is this second heat of men. Pretty even race so far. No one overtaking too much ground. Again, watch 4, 5, and 6. But it looks like our fastest seat time there in lane 5 is maybe taking a break on this first lap. We'll see him kick it in here in the second. No one really fighting over the pole. You can see some jostling there in the middle. Coming around, that's the lane 6 athlete, Ronaldo Griffith from Butler County. And around the final turn, we'll see if anyone can kick it in and hold on for Griffith and Woods. And a great race by all of those teammates. It looks like Griffith will take the heat from Woods and Kasura. 50.5 is the final official time. We'll get you those final results of both heats here in just a minute. Next up on the track, we have the women's 600 meters. that's a really strong run. You see those athletes coming through with pace still. No one's really locking up. We're about to get started with the first heat of the women's 600 meters. Here, lanes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We don't have 9 lanes, but we do have 6. We have 9 athletes in this heat. Lauren Gregg from Bethany, Molly Achterberg from Bethany, Sierra Baker from Butler, Krista Follett from Friends, Chanel Tomlinson from Butler, Claudia Rojo from Wichita State, Miranda Tenove from Friends, Caitlin Lastly from McPherson, and Hannah Cole from Wichita State. So, out early, it's the athletes from Bethany College, followed closely by Friends University, and that's a McPherson Bulldog there. I can't see them from all the way across the track, but this is they are on the second of 3 laps here around the track in the 600-meter race. That's the unattached athlete, Chanel Tomlinson from Butler, coming around.
Seems to be looking good so far. Looks pretty relaxed.
And then the 2 athletes from Wichita State, they're trailing behind on this last lap as they do come around. We'll see how these top 3 compete on this final turn. And it's gonna be close, it's gonna be close as they drive to finish out this final turn. That's Tomlinson. And the athlete from Friends, I believe that's Krista Follett. And a great run by Tomlinson. So in this first heat, we'll have 8 athletes here from Bethany, McPherson, Friends. And then in the second heat, we'll have a few from Wichita State as well. Fastest seat time in this race is 1:17. We likely won't see that here in this first heat, but we do have Vizcarra from Friends, Krotinger from Bethany, Richard from McPherson, Lockhorn from Friends, Martin from Friends, Israel from Bethany, Wegener from McPherson, and from Bethany, Sean Conklin, rounding out this first heat. It looks like we have a few scratches. But we will have, should have a good race here in the men's 600-meter dash. Do you call it a dash? Do you call it a run? What do you call it?
I would say a run.
Well, good. I kind of was asking for the official.
Oh. It's a 6. Yeah, it's a run.
No, whatever you would say.
It's a run. I think, like, I don't know, I'm not an expert, but like for the 600, it's good to get out and then maintain pace, and then the last lap just kick it on in if you got the energy for it.
And out well in this first heat of 2 for the men's 600 meters. Bethany out in front there on the outside. You'll see them merge here pretty soon on their first 3 laps. And winning the pole, it's the athlete from Bethany, followed by 2 Friends athletes, and a few more of the Bethany teammates there in the middle. He's out really well. We'll see if he can hold this, as I'm seeing strong running from the Friends athlete trailing behind him. Again, Friends with a great team here that they've brought today. A good distance squad. They have a great multi-squad as well. Cole Davis doing a really good job with that team over there.
Number 3 runner really came from the back and is really working his way up to the front. He took off.
So you can see as they maintain this back stretch coming through from Bethany, followed by Friends, and another athlete from Friends and a pair from Bethany. So that is the first heat of the men's 600-meter run. We do have one more heat of that coming up just next. Again, that's Frost, Mudge, Wilson, Sprague, Jackson, Stuver, Kuhn, and Zimmerman. As we get started here, after the 600, we'll see the 800-meter race. And as I prepped the men's 800-meter race, that should be a hot event to tune into coming up here in a couple minutes.
That's my best race.
The 800?
Absolutely.
I kind of doubt that. I just feel like you're being sarcastic right now. As much as we've talked about how many laps you hate to run.
Unfortunately, this is true. But I grew up running 800, so that was my first love.
Oh, got it. And they're away in the second section of men's 600-meter runners. Quickly on the outside, you can see from Friends and McPherson, some great runners. We have Adam Mudge. Keep your eye on Mudge throughout this race. We're looking at the fastest seat time, though, is Jackson from Butler County Community College. As they come around winning the pole, looks like Jackson is towards the front, followed by an athlete from Friends. Then we have Jackson's teammate from Butler. That is Wilson. And one lap to go after this. It has two Butler athletes out there in front with a strong push from Friends University right behind him there. We'll see if he can hold on to that kick. And coming around, it looks like it's Jackson from Butler holding on, followed by his teammates. And from Friends, it's likely Avery Stuver. So we'll see what the final results there are. If we do have the, let's look at this finish here.
Look at Coach Wise' head.
That's right, he's just a reflective surface. Great run there. Constantine, Smith Holloway, Henry, Wilson, Martinez, Flores, Casanova, and Toole. We saw Kendra Henry competing earlier today in the hurdles. She's here again in the 800. If you're wondering why she's running hurdles and the 800, the answer is typically they're a heptathlete or a multi. And the answer is always they're very talented.
She's a stud, man. She works so hard.
The 800 meters being the final event of the women's indoor pentathlon. Here they go on their first of 4 laps around the track. You see Henry there with the number 3 on her bib, along with the other athletes behind her. They will merge here after this second turn, coming around the 800. So, what do you look for when you're a heptathlete in an open 800 event? You're likely just looking for a strong race. It's a good fitness run. You're trying to fit in as many 800s really as you can before the end of the season, because doing the amount of heptathlons you'd need to do to get the experience would just be too demanding throughout the whole season. So throwing athletes in open events like this gives them the better experience to finish out a pentathlon, a heptathlon before the end of the season. So again, that's Henry there out in front. We'll see if she can hold on to the lead. She does have 2 laps left.
If I can remember, I'm not quite sure though, but I think the 800 was the race that got Kendra the conference championship outdoor. I think that solidified her first placement. I think that's a word, placement.
It is a word. She very talented in the hurdles, clearly talented here in the 800-meter open race, as she is in the lead. We'll see if she can hold on as clock ticks past 2 minutes. Coming around, she's got one more turn, and then the home stretch. Kendra in a foot race around, and she will take the heat. Held closely by the athlete from Butler County. Looks like Smith Holloway. Or Claudia Constantine. But a great run there by Kendra Henry. We do have another look at her finishing up her race. And it's a good push there at the end. You just see both athletes really trying hard. Kendra, a lot of strength there at the end to push through and hold on to that. That was Constantine from Butler giving her the challenge at the end. This you have 7 athletes here under 2 minutes. 7 athletes under 2 minutes, at least on their seat time. We're all competing in one section, so you got 11 athletes on the track at the same time with 4 laps. So I imagine it's going to be a bit chaotic after the second turn as they start to merge. But I'm really looking forward to this. You can see a lot of Wichita State athletes. We have 3 from Bethany in this race. We have a few from Butler as well. So a good race ahead of us here. Here in this heat, though, if you are tuning in and you want to know who's running, it's Reno Law from Wichita State, Sean Curran from Wichita State, Philip Armbruster from Butler, Timothy Kimeli from Butler, Jason Landon from Wichita State, Bryce Merriman from Wichita State, Luke Jaramillo from Butler County, Cole Hinton from McPherson, Tyler Wheels from Bethany, Caleb Baroda from Bethany, Juan Saldivar from Bethany, rounding out the athletes in our one heat of men's 800 meter.
It's going to be a good, fast race. I can feel it in my toes.
And if we can pull up the results from the 600 meter run, I'll read those off real quick if you're just tuning in as we prep for the 800 meter. Here we go with the men's 800 meter. You have kind of some of the early season jitters. You have some of that prep. Some people are toeing the line for the first time in their college career. Now, a lot of these athletes may still be experienced, but it is early in the season, so. And it looks like out well and pushing really hard are those athletes from Butler and Wichita State there on the inside. On the outside, you see Bethany and McPherson. We'll see how we do after this pole turn.
He will not finish this race. He is the pace setter for the
So we do have a pace setter in the race out in front from Wichita State. But with the bib number 1, that's Reno Law from Wichita State. His seat time was 1:53. We'll see if he can better that today, as he doesn't look like he has much competition. But we do have a whole host of athletes behind him from Wichita State and Butler. That's going to be the pack to watch there, as Reno Law is starting to run away with it. Wichita State athletes slowly catching up, making a good effort. We will have, as they come around this turn, one more lap. He looks very strong, very relaxed coming around. That's Reno Law, followed by 3 Wichita State athletes.
So Reno Law followed closely by a number of his teammates.
That's Sean Curran, close behind him as well. And so bringing around the home stretch, that's Reno Law, followed by Curran, Landon, and Merriman. A good run from Reno Law.
Men's 800 meters with a time of 1:57.67.
Final official time, 1:57.57. We'll get those results. If you are tuning in, again, you can check those out online. We'll see this final run here from Reno Law. What a fantastic run from him. Let's look at the replay. Coming around that home stretch, just handedly, knowing what he's doing, trying to stay relaxed, not looking behind him. In this first of 3 heats, we have lanes 2 through 6 filled. That's Henkes from McPherson, Wareheim from Wichita State, Henderson from Friends, Lee from McPherson, and Prater from Wichita State. And out well in lane 3, that's Wareheim. And on the outside, the fastest seat time in this heat is 26.27. That's Sierra Lee from McPherson. We'll see if she can better that today, but a great run on the outside in lane 6 there from Morgan Prater from Wichita State. It looks like she might hold on to that as well. What a great run by her. We'll see what the final time is here in just a bit. That's Morgan Prather. Let's watch this finish here. As she comes through, she has a, that's plenty of lead on those athletes. So we have the second section of women here. We do have 5 athletes competing. Lanes 2 through 6, that's Emma Stevens from McPherson, Susan Mattingly from Friends, Denisha Kendrick from Bethany, Blaylock Norris from McPherson, and Jalen Knight from Friends. $200 or 400? Which would you rather?
400 any day.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Even indoor?
Yes. I don't know. I don't really. I kind of despise the 200.
Some people puke just thinking about the 400.
I know. You know what? I totally understand. When I get in the box with the 400, I'm like, why am I doing this? But then when the gun goes off, I'm like, okay, I'm fine. I'm good. 200 is just, man, it's just so quick. to me. I'm more of an athlete who can develop herself throughout the race. So you would probably never catch me running a 60.
Again, this is Stevens, Mattingly, Kendrick, Blaylock, Norris, and Knight. We have a scratch in lane 3, but we do have 4 athletes in this heat, and they are all out well and very equally. We'll see how the curves factor into that and how they finish up. That's on the outside from Friends. It's Jalen Knight. And it looks like Knight is going to hold on all the way through the finish line. Great run from her, unofficially 26:38. We'll see what the official time is here in just a bit. We'll watch this finish from Jalen Knight here again. She led from the start out in lane 6 and was running scared enough here with the ladies' third heat. The 200. We have 3 athletes competing here. Lanes 3, 4, and 5 out well. That's Lauren Dahl, Genevieve Rivera, Jessica Deweese. We saw Dahl earlier today in the hurdles. See how well she does here in the 200-meter dash. But coming around the turn in lane 4, that's Rivera from McPherson. Coming all the way through, taking the heat.
Do you smell pizza?
And we'll see where that ends in the scoring. So, if you were tuning in, I know you're not seeing the heat sheets, but what I saw, there were 7 different athletes within half a second of each other on their seat time. So, I think the final results are really going to help determine the debate I have in my mind. But you see a great push by Lauren Dahl there at the end. Doesn't overtake Rivera from McPherson. What a great run from Rivera. Only one heat now of the men's 200 meters. We have lanes 2 through 6 should be filled, sparing some scratches. No Wichita State athletes will be in this event, but we do have in lane 2, Alvin Patterson from McPherson, Seth Carinder from Friends, Noah Myers from Friends, Hunter Surrey from McPherson, and Xavier Taylor from McPherson on the outside.
Top seed time in this race, 21.68.
Bringing in, if you want, blinging in. Bringing in the top seed time in this heat will be lane 5, 21:68. Keep your eye on Hunter Surrey from McPherson. After this, we'll go to the women's 3,000 meters, followed by the men. And then we'll have the 2 relays, the 4x4 and the 4x8 to round out our meet. And then if you are here live in person, you'll get to witness the 3,000 meter walk. And out well in lane 5. That is Hunter Surrey from McPherson. Yeah, well, they run these flat curves. Surrey making up ground on lane 6. See how they finish out all the way through on the final straightaway. That's his teammate, though, seemingly taking the event. Xavier Taylor from McPherson. So a great race there from Surrey and Taylor on the outside. Let's look at that replay. coming through.
Pretty good.
Yep. Looks like Taylor ended up taking the event.
Lane 1, we have Nicole Ballard, the sophomore out of Friends. Lane 2, Hilda Kipruto, the freshman out of Butler. Lane 3, Michelle Sanchez, unattached, out of Butler. Lane 4, Ariana Archuleta, the freshman out of McPherson. Lane 5, Tesla Madsen, the senior out of Friends. Lane 6, Grace Garrison, the freshman out of Friends. Lane 7, Tara Mays, the sophomore out of Butler. Lane 8, Leanne Myers, the junior out of McPherson. And in lane 9, we have Jolene Jensen, the freshman out of Friends. Again, section 1 of 1 in this women's 3,000 meters. And a clean start here in section 1 of 1 in the women's 3,000 meter. That's Nicole Ballard and Hilda Kipruto. They are your current leaders through lap 1.
It felt like that we could have won the meet. It felt like we could have won the meet. It felt like, you know, we had a couple of major breakdowns that would have been significant point turnarounds, and you know, I think it's going to be a great lesson for our team to look and go, son of a gun, we could have, you know, been way better. We could have won that track meet, but I got to believe that probably KU and K-State felt like, you know, they had a key injury, or they had an athlete false start, or they had an athlete that didn't score the points that they would have imagined that they might. And so everybody, all teams have their ups and downs, but to leave there, I'm cringing, thinking, son of a gun, we were 5 points out of second place, and we were about 20 points out of the win. But having said all that, that's what you're thinking about the team score. And I tell you, team score is important to us in our program at Wichita State. We care about the team score. But there were a bunch of good performances, and our athletes competed hard, and it was a fun meet. You know, I think it's the way track and field should be. The running event started at 5 o'clock, and they were over at 7:25. So it was a 2.5 hour time frame, you know,
great
to have both a men's meet and a women's meet.
And just 3 teams.
Just 3 teams.
And how was it scored? Did you score to
So it was international scoring.
Okay.
So each team scored 2 places, and international scoring means that everybody gets 2 places, no matter what. And so a team could sweep the top 3 positions in an event. Their top 2 would score, but the 4th place person from another school would get the 3rd place points. Right. So it's kind of a unique scoring system. We've got a group of female sprinters that are young and are good, and I'm confident are going to develop into strong American Athletic Conference championship contenders up into the scoring. So that's Jackie Darby and Tiana Holmes and Tanaya McMillian and and Paola Garcia. So Paola Garcia, Tiana Holmes, Tanaya McMillian, and Jackie Darby. That's a group of 4 really good sprinters, and they're going good. I'm proud of them, and every week I'm looking forward to watching those girls. Then another freshman girl is Sydney Sapp, who jumped 5.9 1/4 last week in Iowa. She jumped 5.9 and a fraction. I think she jumped the same, 5.9 1/4, or maybe just 5.9 at the inter-squad meet. So she sets the meet record in her first inter-squad meet, and the meet record was held by 2 All-Americans of ours. So she jumped higher than 2 All-Americans, Ashley Peterson and, who am I thinking? Jalen Ledesma. And so those girls never jumped any higher than what she jumped in her very first, inter-squad meet. And then she validated and did it again at her first collegiate meet at Iowa.
What about the guys, though?
So on the men, there's a whole bunch of guys. It's super fun for me to see, our distance runners going good. Zach Penrod is obviously a guy who is really, really good, and he's got a chance to have a special senior year here in the middle distance events. We could see him going under 4 minutes in the mile, and that would be super exciting. And he won the mile at the American Championship indoors last year, so I'm going to be looking forward to those races, those strong mile races of his throughout the indoor season.
And around on the bell lap, we do have, that's Nicole Ballard from Friends leading out this heat of 3,000 meter ladies. She did have the top seed time of 10:48.46. We'll see if she can best that. Looks like most likely not, but a great run from her here, largely uncontested here in this 3K. So as she does come around for her final turn.
So you were asking about the men's team. So I mentioned Zach Penrod. I'm going to mention Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is really going good right now, and we are hopeful that he can be at the NCAA indoor in the indoor heptathlon and follow in the footsteps of the other guys that have done that.
And here we are with the men's 3,000 meter race. We do just have one heat, of course. There are 12 athletes in this heat. Top seed time is 8:36.36. That's Pedro Montoya from Wichita State. We do have Moen from Wichita State, King Andrew from Butler County, Jesse Freeman from McPherson, Jared Fuller from McPherson, from Friends, Jonathan Jones, Nathan Meyer, Marino Ferris from McPherson, Jaden Fleming from Friends, Jonathan Pettigen, Jake Falkender from Bethany, and rounding out the top 12, Josh Klein from Wichita State. Who should we be looking at here, Coach, in this 3K?
I'm looking at those shockers, Josh Klein, and of course Pedro. Man, these guys, Alex Moen and Josh Klein and Pedro, this is Pedro Montoya. This is a terrific group of guys. People just don't understand what it's like. Pedro Montoya there is in that picture. That poor guy at the American Athletic Championship in Cincinnati, he was running a spectacular 5K and had stepped on the line and didn't even realize it because of a mix-up on the curve with the cones. There was a mix-up of where he was how long he was supposed to run in the alley. So they lined up in alleys, and he didn't know, and he ran an entire curve, one lane in. Well, it makes about 10 feet of difference. Not 10 feet, probably 8 feet of difference or 6 feet of difference. And he's running the race, and we're knowing that he's probably disqualified. And he's running spectacular, man, and he's up in there in the mix, getting ready to be a scorer in the 5K, and ultimately we have to tell him that he's been disqualified. And it was heartbreaking. The guy was absolutely in tears. It was unbelievable, but you can see him there with the number 1 on his chest. Yeah. That guy runs hard. He trains hard, he runs hard, competes hard, and those other 2 guys that he's running with are really good athletes. Alex Moen's going to run a bunch of good races for us at Wichita State. And same with Josh Klein. That's a good group there of shockers. I'm really excited
looks
about
like
those guys.
This is Josh Klein's first 3K here. He didn't have a seed time, so at least indoor.
Looks like he was rabbiting. He just it looks like he was rabbiting to help those 2 guys get out.
Why. That's not. You didn't digitally edit that at all.
No way. And I was down here working with high jumpers, and you should have heard the throwers go nuts. I mean, you don't see it on that film, but they went absolutely out of their minds. The place erupted. It erupted.
We
down
didn't
there.
have the sound here on the video, but yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, there's no digital editing going. Don't give the coaching staff more credit than they deserve. But Coach Dorff, what a great shot. So coming around, we see.
Yeah, what you got? Is he on his
some
last
of our athletes?
lap?
Well, we're almost on the bell lap. He's coming around on the final turn for it. So this is Pedro Montoya.
He'll have a lap to go here, and he's going to turn it in about 2 or 3 seconds.
And followed by Alex Moen there from Wichita State.
8:45.
Great
like
runs by both of those athletes. We'll see where it ends up for them.
You can see that guy goes hard. And what he does isn't easy. And he's a guy who has had stretches of time at 100-mile weeks and is just an unbelievably hard worker, loves to run, and it's really great having him on our team. Hey, I was right. Was I right? Oh, I missed it by 100.
You did miss it by 100. I'm not going to give you the credit. 8:45.99. We'll see what the final time is there. So, in this single section of the women's 4x400 meter relay, we do have Bethany College in lane 3, McPherson lane 4, lane 5 Friends, and out in lane 6, that's Wichita State. All A squads here. The fastest seed time here, Friends University with the time of 4 minutes flat. Now, who's this running the first leg here?
So this is young Abby Smarsh. She is from Andale. She was state champion last year, I believe, in both the 100-meter hurdles and the 300 hurdles for Andale. So she's a freshman hurdler for us, and has the potential to be a good hurdler. She's got, you know, a ways to go to compete at the NCAA Division I level, but she's working hard, and I'm confident that she can develop into a Division I athlete. Her dad was coach of the year. He was the coach of the Andale Indians last year and was coach of the year in the state of Kansas for high school track and field.
And out well is Smarsh in lane 4 there. It's McPherson out well. They will merge after the second curve. And then we'll hand off in the nearest lane to the inside. So coming around, that is Smarsh from Wichita State. Competing against Lauren Dahl, looks like, from Friends University. Now that's another thing I do want to talk about. So we've talked a lot about Wichita State, but I brought up Friends a few times. Tell us a little bit of what you know about the Friends program, your impressions, how good they are within the KCAC and in the NAI.
Well, in no uncertain terms, they sort of took over the mantle that Southwestern had for many, many years. And they seem to win the championships pretty handily. Certainly on the women's side, they've had occasion to dominate the KCAC. I guess I don't have committed to memory all the details of the all the details of the men's side, but I think they win those too with fair regularity. It looks like Morgan Prather wasn't able to continue in that race.
Looks like she dropped down after that first curve. So it will just be Friends and McPherson.
But they've done terrific. Cole Davis over there has just built a powerful NAIA program. I think the women were 4th. They lost some of the terrific seniors that were instrumental in making that happen. But they've had, terrific success at the NAIA level, and it's been really, really impressive.
We've seen some good performances, not unlike the first leg there, Lauren Dahl from Friends University, but it is a foot race between the Bulldogs and the Falcons.
It looks like she's getting tracked down.
That's a great leg there from the anchor from McPherson. Winning that lap. One more lap to go, it seems, on this leg, and then we will have our anchor leg, I apologize, here coming up in just a bit. That's a great run, though, by the third leg.
Looks like
McPherson. And the final handoff for the ladies in this 4x400 meter relay. McPherson out in front, followed by Friends. We'll see if we can track her down. Moving really, really well is the anchor from Friends University. Tracking down McPherson. Now 1 lap to go in this 4x400 meter relay. It looks like Friends is taking over. And coming around the final turn, that is Friends University carrying the baton all the way through the line. All the way through with the applause from the crowd. If you are just now tuning in, we are at the Heskett Center Shocker Prelude. If you want to check the live results, you can go online to GoShockers.com, check out meet info, live results. You can also check out the Twitter feed at GoShockers TFXC. That is at GoShockers TFXC, track and field cross country, for the latest updates on Twitter. Well, here we go with the 4x400 meter relay for the men. Looks like we have 4 teams, so Bethany, McPherson, Friends, and Wichita State on the outside. Here we are in this first of 2 laps for the first leg of the 4x400 meter relay men's competition. Winning the pole, looks like McPherson's out there. Friends has a heavy push, trailing Bethany, and then we have Wichita State in the back. This second leg for Wichita State University will be headed up by Adam Mudge. You saw him earlier today in the 600 meter run. McPherson gets the first handoff, followed by the Falcons, the Swedes, and then Adam Mudge with a great push here on the second leg. Overtaken 2, 1, 2, almost 3. That's a great push by Mudge there. We'll see if he can hold on through the pole and around one more lap. And that's a great competition there between Wichita State and McPherson. Adam Mudge leading Wichita State. We'll see if he can hold on all the way through the handoff. But what a great effort from him early on. And they will keep the lead after the second handoff. 4 laps to go. We are halfway through. That's Wichita State out in front, followed by McPherson and Friends. And a good push by McPherson here to overtake the second spot. They're hanging on the shoulder. Wichita State still hanging on. We do have a longer distance, middle distance runner as the third leg there. And coming around for the final handoff, McPherson making a great push. Let's see where this ends up. All right, Wichita State still out in front. McPherson tracking them down. A great race, a great push here from Friends and the Swedes behind, but catching up swiftly. McPherson overtakes the lead from Wichita State. We're coming around on the bell lap. And we'll see if we can get something in here for Wichita State. That's a great run, though, from McPherson on their anchor leg. Bethany has overtaken the 3rd spot from Friends University. We'll see how long they can hold on as Friends is nipping at their heels. And a very, very strong run as we come around that final curve. Probably too much to overtake for Wichita State, so it looks like McPherson is going to close out with the win on this men's 4x400-meter relay. In second, Wichita State. Friends in third, despite the great effort from the Bethany athlete for the Swedes.
So it's a two-day meet, and they'll have like 200 and 400 meters prelims on Friday, finals on Saturday. So that'll kind of simulate the conference championship a little bit, where you're able to run prelims and come back the next day and run finals. And I think that that's a good thing, you know, to do, even if maybe it doesn't go your way. Your body gets used to the back-to-back competition days. And that's always, I think, a good thing to get ready for.
Sure. And just 2 teams in this 4x800-meter relay for the women. That is Friends and Bethany in this race. This is the 4x8 an official NAIA?
Yes,
okay.
It is. That's why they're competing. They asked us to have this, and actually another event that's coming up at the end. I'm not sure. The broadcast will conclude with the race walk at the end of the night, but. We kind of want to help these teams out, you know, they're friends of ours, obviously, and we want to, you know, help them get to the national meet if that's what they're trying to do. The 600 is another event that's one of theirs, and so in a meet like this, it's kind of a training tool for us. To Adam Mudge got to run a 600 today, and our multi-girls got to run a 600 today, so it's good for them to do that, and we can help out the NAIA schools in the area, and that's what this 4x8 is. It's just kind of a opportunity for Friends and Bethany and some of those other schools
get
to
a time
get
down.
a time for them.
Yeah, fantastic. So kind of projecting out on what the team looks like this year. We've had a lot of speculation. I've talked to Ben Johnson, and I've talked to Daisha, and I talked to Bolt. But I do want to know from you, really, because you're going to shoot me straight.
That's what I do.
Yeah, that's what you do. How do you think the men and women are going to do, at least on the indoor season this year?
Well, let's start with our men. Our men are more of a veteran team, and most of our team back that got 3rd place that barely missed 2nd place last year by I think 4 points. And so a lot of hungry guys that have been through some battles with some guys that are champions and have maybe won some conference titles in the Missouri Valley. And so I know that we have a deep and veteran men's team. We're not very healthy right now is one of the things on the men's side. And so we've got to get some of our key people healthy. And if we're able to do that, I think that we have an outstanding chance to be in the top 2 at our conference meet. I know that winning the championship is always a goal. Houston is very good. And I'm not saying that they're unbeatable. They definitely are be the favorite, though. And I think on paper after that, I think we're going to be up there, in a mix of teams trying to chase Houston. So I think that our men's side, very veteran team. They know how to get things done. I'm confident we'll get healthy and be ready to go when the time comes. Our women are a little different. We're very young, and last year went through this extreme redshirt situation, and now we have got everybody going, and really and truly a lot of momentum. I feel a lot of momentum building with the young women's team. Just kind of the first time, after sitting out a year for most of these girls, of kind of getting back into things. And the conference is different on the women, much more balanced. There's not a team that stands out on the women like maybe on the men's side. Right. So I think there could be any number of 6 teams that could win the championship. I think we're one of those 6 teams, and it'll be interesting to see. We could go first, we could go 6th. I like our chances. I think our girls are hungry, like I said earlier, and I think that even in these early stages of the year, you're seeing some things that are very impressive. We've got, some upper level athletes that are going to score big points, like Winnie Koskai, and then you have like Kelsey Slauson in the shot put that's going to throw good, and then we've got some sprinters that I think are going to score points that are freshmen and sophomores, and I think our relays are going to be good. So I think that the conference probably, if they haven't been looking at our results real close, they'll soon find out our women's team is going to be one to reckon with. So we're excited, obviously, about that as we head towards the conference meet, and it's just kind of on the women's side fun to kind of rebuild the team and go through everything for the first time again with them, because most of them didn't go to Birmingham last year.
Right.
And this will be a new experience for them. And,
well,
you see it coming around.
You do have a championship squad, though, in the distance.
Yep, we do. And that's, that cross-country title in the fall gave the rest of our team kind of a shot in the arm. When they saw that, they're like, okay, yeah, we can see what's happening here. When we did this red shirt thing last year, the coaches aren't as crazy as we thought they were, and that helps. And then you kind of see it building through indoor. And I know there's a lot of the girls. I mean, they're like, Coach, we're gonna win. Like, we're gonna win, right? That's what's happening. That's what that's their attitude, which is great. That's what we want them to have, and it'll be a battle. It's definitely not going to be easy, but they're confident, and sometimes not knowing what is ahead of you is good. Ignorance is bliss a little bit. So we got a little bit of that going on.
Right. Yeah. Good. Well, Deja had mentioned. I gave her the test. I put her on the spot. I said, indoor or outdoor, which would you prefer? And she said outdoor every single time.
Right. I
want to run just one lap. She's convinced she's running twice the distance indoor, even though she's running just the 400 at the same time.
Yes.
But
she has been running a lot of 600s, so she probably does think she's running twice the distance.
It is throwing her off. But for you, indoor, outdoor, what season do you prefer? Not prefer, maybe anticipate the most. You enjoy the most. What's the thought there?
I just think obviously outdoor track is the traditional sport in our sport. The traditional season, I guess you would call it. And I love watching the javelin throwers. I love the 400 hurdles. I love watching steeplechase, things that we don't have indoor. And I love indoor. This was a fun meet today. Yep. There was a lot of fun things. Last night was a fun meet. But I guess track and field, I think of all those events. And so a nice sunshiny day out in Cessna Stadium in May, can't beat that. So we're fortunate to have the Hesketh Center because it's not a sunshiny day.
Right.
Warm out today.
Right.
And we'll find out here in a minute when we head outside how it does feel. But I think indoor is necessary. You have to. Some athletes don't like indoor as much because it's tighter curves, or maybe they aren't doing their event if they're a 400 hurdler or they do something like that. But it's a necessary evil if you want to have a good outdoor season. And so I think it's great we have the championship, and I don't think anybody is not excited about the indoor championship. I just think that when it comes to the outdoor season, it's just a doubling efforts of our focus. And I think, and it's the end of the year too. That's always, we finish our indoor season, we still have 3 months to go.
Yep.
So mentally, you're just thinking of the focus is there's still more to go. Outdoor, it's like, this is it.
Yeah.
Graduation or whatever is happening, and summer's coming, and it's the end of the season. So I think that's the way we think.
So beyond indoor, outdoor conference, let's look at nationally.
Mm-hmm.
Who do we got that's in that realm? Who do we have that's going to compete on a national level beyond just the conference level? And knowing that the conference is really solid, and so there's going to be a lot of people going to nationals from the conference.
Right.
But who from our squad?
Yeah, I mean, last year we had a team in our conference get third in the NCAA championship. So it's a really good conference that if you're one of the top people in our conference, you're going to probably have a chance to go to the national championship. I think the duo with Winnie and Rebecca in the distance races is they have opportunities to possibly go to the national meet. Our jump duo with Rayvon Allen and Jared Bellardo, they'll have opportunities if they hit a good jump. And Air Force next week could be one of those because it's a great place to jump. I think Ben Johnson you talked to Ben earlier. He's in the decathlon. That's an event that whether it's heptathlon indoor or decathlon outdoor, he could either one of them easily make it. In December he had one going, his hamstring got tight and he wasn't able to finish the meet, but he had one going that would have qualified for nationals indoor.
Right.
So he's going to do that next week and hopefully get that out of the way. One of the ones that I think that maybe a lot of people are aware of, I think, our women's 4x1. We have a 2 freshmen and 2 sophomores and a senior. So we have 5 girls, I think, that are in the mix there, and they are capable of getting to the NCAA championship. So, you know, we don't have a superstar, but we've got 4 or 5 really solid girls that are going to be good. And I think they have a chance at our school record, which got us to the NCAA championships when we ran that a couple years ago with the Larchmiller twins. So that's one that maybe we haven't had as much or as often, but I think our relay will have a good shot this year. You know, we've got, if you're talking about outdoor, you know, Aaron True in the javelin was 6th or 7th in the national meet last year. And then we've got these, you know, throwers, these big guy throwers, Isaiah Evans and Corey Martins, that can at any point hit a bomb and get to the national championship. So it's really hard to make it indoor to the national championship. You could have a good team and not get anybody there, or you could end up, you know, it could be going a different way, and you could get, you know, half a dozen people there. So, you know, we're trying to keep those athletes focused on trying to hit a mark. I know next week at Pitt State, Zach Penrod is going to run a fast mile. They're trying to break 4 minutes in the mile next week. Have rabbits and all that kind of stuff on a big 300-meter track. So, you know, it's a fun time to see all these kids running PRs and running so well and competing hard with the Wichita State uniform on.
Yeah.
And today I thought for the athletes that competed did really well. Looks like we're going to win the meet. It was a nail biter for a little while.
Yeah.
But I think that we're going to hold off Friends.
I think early on after we scored the field events, I wasn't too worried, but yeah,
Friends is having a nice meet on the women's side.